Hello, homies. It's time for another dev update. They're changing the whole game. Let's see how they are going to do it. We're going into Season 2, which means that rank doesn't reset, but the overhauling changes to the games are coming, which of course will affect pro play. But my understanding is that it's going to happen before MSI and it's going to happen in 13 days. So maybe pro play is going to be giga chaotic. Let's react to the changes that Riot is, of course, sending through. I hope these changes land before MSI so we get the regular seasons, on these patches too. But I do think we're early enough. Let's jump into it.
Paul, aka Pebro.
And I'm Andre, also known as Meddler.
Today is April 1st, and we're back to talk to you all about some of our plans for Season 2. Now, if you haven't seen the two cinematics, you should probably pause now and go watch them, because we will be referring to them a number of times in this video.
We saw them.
Okay, if you're still here, let's talk spoilers. Last season, we watched everyone's favorite Noxian frenemies, LeBlanc and Vladimir, plan, plot, and scheme. Now we're headed to Ionia to find the powerful weapon they've been seeking.
Ooh.
But we're not just going to Ionia. We're arriving just in time for the bloom of the rare Spirit Blossom flowers and the Ionian festival that celebrates them.
Spirit Blossom is one of our favorite thematics, and based on what we've heard from you over the
Mine
years,
too.
it's one of yours too. Also importantly though,
It's funny that he says, based on what we heard from you, we also think it's one of yours. He's basically just looking at, oh, everyone's buying that skin. So,
a canon event in Runeterra, meaning that the festival takes place in Ionia with each bloom. Now with each season, we set out to create distinct thematic experiences that touch almost every aspect of League, from gameplay to skins, a new champion, to a metagame, for example.
So for Season 2 of 2025, we'll be continuing to refine our approach with many of these things and a few other surprises further on.
what up, YamatoCannon?
We do want to save bigger, more disruptive Summoner's Rift gameplay changes for the start of each year, and then tune and iterate on those changes throughout the year so that we're providing a more stable and competitive experience.
Okay.
That means for Season 2 this time, for example, we're putting our focus a bit elsewhere, a lot of it on game modes this time.
Ooh.
We do, though, have some meaningful Summoner's Rift changes coming.
I wanted to say one thing, because I thought they were going to continue talking about the Spirit Blossom thing. People were upset that the Spirit Blossom video didn't have enough Ionia champions. I believe like Irelia was mentioned, or like we saw Xin Zhao, right, who was formerly from Ionia, was then like taken and then freed by Demacia and so forth. We saw Shen as well. But then there was like these entities, right? You're sure Ashe and Lux are definitely like shoehorned in there because they are very popular champions. But the lacks of some other champions in terms of what they are for Spirit Blossom, the Spirit Blossom things that people worship and celebrate, the spirits, so to speak, don't need to be from like Ionia. I just wanted to point that out there. I think Riot made sure that's the case, and they also mentioned it's a canon event, so. There was some complaint. It's like, oh, this is an Ionia event, and these champions are not even from Ionia. Kek W. There's definitely some of that, right? I think there's definitely things that are more fitting than Lux and Ashe, but there is some leeway there. There is definitely some leeway, and I do think that some Ionia champs were, of course, celebrated. So let's continue. It's not like the other Spirit Blossom champions are all from Ionia, as an example.
This season still. And we're going to hand over to Riot Froxon now. We'll walk you through those next.
Homie Riot Froxon, let's go.
Hey everyone. Today I
Nice
want to
sweater.
talk a bit about the Summoner's Rift gameplay changes that are coming at the start of Season 2. We've heard your concerns about objective overload, so we have some changes that should help find a healthy balance, in addition to a few other adjustments we have coming for Spirit Blossom. First up, Articon. In Season 1, we made changes to Articon's two forms, so you would see Voracious less often than Ruinous. And while we saw a good initial reaction to this change, we still saw some frustration around how often Voracious Articon spawns in pro games and how game warping his buff is. So in Season 2, we're getting rid of Voracious Articon, and he'll have only one form, Thornbound. While he won't look different from Ruinous Articon, he will have adjusted rewards. In addition to the Bloody Roses, the team who kills Articon receives all unclaimed roses on the map, and all of their bloody petals are purified into spirit petals, which grant 25% increased effect. Additionally, the team will also get a spiritual purification buff for the rest of the game that slows and damages nearby enemies on champion kill, which we think will be a more satisfying effect.
Oh.
Outside of Articon,
Well, so no revive Articon, and the additional buff to basically like grubs, like permanent buffs, seems to be removed. And I assume we're going to get more spawns of the plants and then a 25% bonus effect only on plants. I don't see it being that strong as an objective. It doesn't sound like it's going to be game warping. I guess the experience portion is still quite nice. Let's hear more. I do think that some of the points they made about like the red Atakan being game warping, I feel like that kind of changed after all the nerfs and changes. But I am happy to have it streamlined. I think there was too many new details in the game to follow. It's like feat of strength. Is it red Atakan? Is it gray Atakan? Like it's just, I think it's making the game more streamlined does make sense. So having one thorn bound, okay. I was hoping that they would change what the objective was, something that made sense to the theme. I think would be cool, but turns out that's not going to be the case. It's just going to be more Atakan.
We also have some adjustments for the Void objectives based on feedback we've seen around objectives driving game pacing, especially before the 20-minute mark. First, we're changing Void grubs to spawn a single time, which will be a bit later in the game.
Wow.
This should allow everyone to focus more on laning and ganking, rather than prioritizing early objectives. We're also moving the Rift Herald spawn time up to 15 minutes, and making it generally harder to avoid her damage.
Oh.
Another place we've seen a lot of feedback on is the bounty system. One of the main issues is that it sometimes feels like you have a bounty when your team is behind. So we're making the objective bounty system more accurate, which should help bounties feel like they're only on when your team has a lead.
All right.
Outside of objectives and bounties, we're making a small change to the jungle and support roles. In Champion Select, only junglers will have access to Smite, and it'll be automatically assigned. Additionally, supports will automatically be given World Atlas at load-in. Our goal is to try and reduce certain types of trolling, and oops, my team doesn't have Smite lol, lock-in failures. We're adding the ability to swap roles.
Even though this limits creativity, so to speak, it probably in the short term does a lot more good, because I can't see the harm of the other thing, right? I don't know how frequent it is. There are certain strategies with World Atlas that have just been completely nerfed out of the game in terms of not being able to play in isolation and so forth. There are certain cases where you want to buy a World Atlas later into the game if you stop farming and you're overgrouping and you don't want to be on side and you already have somebody else going on side. There's some cool angles like that. There's some Smite techs, some Ivan support angles, some Smite technologies with Syndra and other jazz. But I don't think it will be too missed. But it's always with things like this, you kind of hope that the game has potential to be broken, right? And I think that this is kind of adding another fence to things, because even though funneling was goofy, there were certain metas that were very strange, those moments in time, I think, put players in the position where they needed to find solutions to unique problems. And I think that aspect of it, that exploration, that you have like some professors and wizards that can find some crazy way to break the game, and is of course going to limit that. So something lost, something gained. I can imagine that in the short term, this is going to do a lot more good. It's just more about the principle of, over time, maybe there's going to be fun things that are missed out on if creativity becomes more and more limited. Not necessarily tied to this, but maybe the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. For example, the whole lane swap alert, lane swap alert change, I'm hoping that they find more elegant solutions to things.
And champ
Let's
select,
continue.
so you can still ask nicely to trade. And
All
if
right.
you're an unsealed spellbook bard enjoyer, don't worry, you'll still be able to get Smite in game. We believe the ability to do this will discourage the pro play lane swap problem we saw in Season 1, without directly impacting the rest of us normies. Finally, we're replacing Grey Screen with a new Spectator UI, and adding killstreak sound effects that will play for your ears only when you participate in takedowns. We have a dev blog out now that goes into more detail about the gameplay changes that you'll see when you load into the Rift at the start.
I like that this homie in the back is just there. He's like, you guys don't see him, but right now he's just in the back, just staring into the camera. He doesn't know they're filming. I don't know what he's doing.
Start of Season 2, so be sure to check it out.
Hey everyone.
Oh, he was waiting. He was waiting to participate. Well, that makes sense.
I'm just a capybara, a director of product management. You can call me True. League is at its best when you're surrounded by people who are positive and play their best. But when you have someone inting, grafing, or running it down for fun, it just sucks.
So we're rolling out some updated systems that will better detect and punish people who want to ruin your games.
Starting next patch, we'll have improvements to our griefing detection systems that automatically identify and punish players for soft inting and trolling teammates.
I need to make sure that Nati is aware of this.
Because some people just want to ruin games, we aren't going to share exactly what the system looks for. But it's built to detect things like running around and not contributing to avoid AFK detection, for example. Additionally, moving forward, when you receive report feedback, it will include the name of the offender, similar to how the cheating feedback notifications currently work.
That's pretty cool.
We know that this is an area that we really have to get right. We've been doing some tests for the
That's
last
cool,
few...
bro. But I think the fact that you'll see the name will increase reports by 50-fold. Because if you know they work, and you just know, oh, that guy, Pussy Slayer 69, he got banned. Thank God, man. That piece of shit.
patches to make sure our number of false positives is low, and we're confident that we should see very few. We'll also continue to refine this updated system over time, and we'll talk about it again in another dev update.
Imagine, Riot Games are doing more due diligence than certain governments. I'm not gonna say anything else. We don't need to, no politic here. No politic here. That was pretty dark, but let's just carry on.
Further out, there's more work we'd like to do around smurfing and boosting in particular. That's something that we hope TrueScale 2 can help address, which, as a reminder, is a new matchmaking system that we've been trialing in some regions and modes. We also want to share some numbers from the Vanguard LP refunds that we added in patch 25.6. As of filming, we've refunded over 700,000 LP to over 30,000 unique players who had a cheater in their ranked game.
Okay.
And since then, around 24,000 cheaters have been successfully eliminated.
That's a lot.
Aside from punishing players who waste your time by
my
ruining
days,
games,
that was
we also want to
goofy
take
as
some
fuck.
time to thank all of you who bring
And
positivity
they decided to keep it in.
whether it's through
Respect.
helpful and friendly comms, grouping for objectives, or just fist bumping each other after a great play.
I have to say, my man here on the left, he is making aggressive fists in his pockets. But I think that he will get more and more warm to the camera. Seems like a good dude. God
We're
bless
also
his
seeing a
soul.
lot of feedback on the recent changes to the honor system that we're working on. We'll be back later when we have some changes to share here.
We have a lot more details on these changes and some updates on changes we've made over the last few patches in a blog that's out now. So go check it out if you'd like to learn more.
All right, we want to talk a bit about modes and metagames.
Give it to me.
Like we've said before,
Arena
we
is
think
here
it's
to
important
stay.
to consistently have ways to
Woo.
play League outside of standard Summoner's Rift. So we'll be releasing a new game mode called Brawl.
Brawl is a 5v5 mode where you choose your champion, and it's played on a new map set in the whimsical Bandle City. And your objective is simple: push your minions into the enemy's base to win, and get rid of anyone who tries to stop you.
No towers, no major objectives, and nothing but your base's health bar to defend. Brawl is intended to be a fun, action-packed mode for players who want a lower-stakes game or are looking to get
Looks a
their
bit
friends in the
goofy.
league without having to deal with all the complexity of SR.
Now, games of Brawl have been balanced with snowball mechanics, so while you might be down at some points, you're never truly out, making it perfect for playing with friends of drastically different skill levels.
Whether you're just looking for a fun time trying to play with friends or just want non-stop
Give me
action,
ranked.
we hope you'll give Brawl a try when it goes live in patch
me ranked.
25.10. We can't wait to see what you think.
Give me ranked.
No.
Let me break this game completely. Let me metagame it. Let me do the perfect draft. Let me speedrun. Let me break.
If you want to learn more about Brawl, check out the new dev blog that's out now. Separately though, we also want to take a moment to talk about metagames. We're coming off of the Demon's Hand, and we love seeing all the combos you pulled off.
Demon's
and
Hand
that's
was
also
good.
teaching us a lot about what has and hasn't worked with metagames that we're going to incorporate in future ones.
We will have another metagame coming out in Act 2 of the coming season.
We get to
As with
date
previous
Ari.
Metagames, we're going to keep trying something a bit different each time. All right, we'll hand things over to the Skins team to talk about
Let
what they
us
have
date
planned
Ari,
for Season
man.
2.
Hey everyone, I'm Steph, aka 100 Piece Nuggets.
And I'm Tom, or Riot Hylia. Today, we're here to dive into Spirit Blossom and talk about
Well, my man on right looks like Yasuo incarnate, man. He's got the kimono thing going on.
some updates to skins in general.
She got the chupa chup.
So there's a lot to discuss, but first and foremost, Spirit Blossom's back, yay! We know you have a lot of fond memories of getting crushed by Cassiopeia. And playing tricks with Teemo.
And the contrasting duality of the Spirit Realm just makes for really, really elegant, stunning skins.
Yeah, and this time around, we're actually expanding on Spirit Blossom with even more champions stepping into Ionian folklore. These skins are now a manifestation of the myths told during the festival, like Ash is the Wandering Queen who guides souls to the spirit realm.
Damn. Bro, she squats. Look at those legs, man. That's crazy.
Or Aurelia, who is Ash's ready hand.
I have to say, the faces they are making on the skins are getting better, no?
Guides souls to the spirit realm.
Or Aurelia, who is Ash's ready hand, whose unwavering loyalty led to heartbreak and calamity.
She has so many hands.
No, right? You've got more than she knows what to do with.
Oh.
We've also got Bard,
What does that mean?
Varys, and my personal favorite, Zyra, as well as Ivern and Prestige Spirit Blossom Lux, who will be earnable on the Act 1 paid pass.
Outside of Spirit Blossom, when we were looking at
put
skins
Lux
for
on paid
Season
pass.
2 overall, we took a lot of learnings
Good
from
move.
Season 1. We want to do a better job at offering a wider variety of skins that are focused on our champion first philosophy. So in Season 2, we're introducing something we're calling variety skins. Standalone, one-off skins that are either from existing thematics or totally new ones tailor-made for that champion.
Okay, cool.
The first one will be Pool Party Twitch, which will be earnable on the
Pool
Act 1
Party
paid
Twitch.
pass. And while I'm sure some of you are thinking, what about Twitch Screams Pool Party?
Absolutely
Look at
nothing.
him. He's a little rat and he's got a squirt gun. He would totally cause chaos at the family barbecue.
And we gave him a little Hawaiian shirt.
No, he's so precious. He's a little baby.
He's a baby. So anyways, variety skins will give us more room to just focus on making cool skins for individual champions without needing to build them into an entire grouping of thematic skins.
We're also looking at ways to bundle variety skins together into a looser thematic of sorts, like the recent April Fool's skins. They all have the same core vibe. They're silly, they're goofy, they're fun.
I don't know. Does anyone care about this? Like, just don't tell me. Just sell me. Because this feels just like an ad ham-fisted to things. Like, these are very nice, lovely people. I have nothing against these nice, lovely people, the design team. They're very great. Oh, come on. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now.
But realistically, they could each belong to an individual skin line, like Pool Party or Cats vs. Dogs.
We believe that this is a better balance of skins throughout the Spirit Blossom season than we were able to land with Season 1. So let us know what you think. We want to hear your thoughts on how this lands during Season 2. And finally, it's list time.
List time, yes.
This time,
So the next Exalted skin this season will
the blacklist. These are all the famous murderers we will come after with all the funds we make from these spirit. No, I'm kidding.
be Morgana. And then for Prestige skins, we'll have Zed on the pass and Aphelios in the Mythic shop during Act 2.
Damn.
That about wraps things up for us. As always, we would love to hear what you think.
Thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon.
Cool. Bye-bye.
Okay, that just about wraps things up for today. In case you missed it, Swift Play is now out globally. So be sure to jump in and play a few matches if you haven't already had the chance.
And while you may have
Thank
recognized
you,
quite a
Medla.
few familiar faces in yesterday's cinematic, there is one who may look new. Yanara is our new champion who will be coming out in Act 2. We don't want to spoil more, but we'll be back before then to share more about her and her connection to the Spirit Blossoms.
And
Okay.
then finally, we wanted to share that in May, we'll be celebrating another pro who has made his mark on League.
Ooh.
This player will join the Hall of Legends.
Ooh.
He's inspired the next generation of upcoming players, and we can't wait to give him the recognition he deserves.
As always,
Ooh.
thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the dev blogs, and we'll see you on the Rift.
Until next time, see ya.
Give me your predictions. It gotta be Uzi, no? It gots to be Uzi. Thing is, I think the Hall of Legends thing is going to be purely based on popularity. It's all about popularity. And Uzi, I think, is just next person in line, because I do think that you need to give some love to China here, because that's where the majority of the viewership is and the majority of the spending is. And I think Uzi, in terms of a household name, has the draw force and the power to really make people come together, because Uzi is cherished in Korea, he's cherished in the West, and he's cherished as well in the LPO. And I would imagine this is next in line. Another one that comes to mind, of course, is the likes of Deft or Ruler. But Deft has the popularity about him. I think there's other names in Korea that come to mind in terms of level of popularity. I mean, in China, like that are Koreans. Rookie, Doinbi, you have the Chai. It's just, a tricky one. It's a tricky one because you need to satisfy a lot of people at the same time, and following Faker is always going to be impossible. And I think that probably when it gets to Europe and the West, they should probably do like Fnatic Legends or like European Legends, and then they just have like a class that get induced together to the Hall of Legends, because Faker deserves his own year. I think that makes sense. But I imagine for like NA and for EU, you should like induct 10 players at the same time and celebrate them in their own unique ways, you know, and their own legendary moments in terms of what they achieved, right? Whether it's like in Europe, it would be like XPK, Caps, you know, someone like Perks, Reckless, you know, the G2 squad as a whole, pretty much, Hilly, you know, there's a lot of legends in Europe. And I think that to celebrate the region and to get as much people involved at the same time, you probably need to cast a wider net when it comes to the Western audience, because in the end, you need to capture where the majority of the players are. And if you have people that aren't popular anymore, then yeah, it's not gonna fly well. Okay, let's just check out if there's anything different in the gameplay dev blog. And Season 2 this year, we're heading to Ionia. Not only does this mean a new beautiful Ionian Spirit Blossom inspired map, but also a round of seasonal game updates. We're looking to polish up the changes we shipped with Season 1, while also modernizing some non-gameplay systems. On the gameplay side, YamatoCannon's forms will be consolidated into a single one. Some other improvements you'll see heading into Season 2 are new death screen. So we have new only spawning grubs once, and we're going to tweak bounties. So YamatoCannon, I want to see the void objective pacing. Throughout Season 1, we've heard the feedback that new objectives have become too demanding, especially in early to mid-game. The frequency and degree at which you need to think about epic monsters is too high for healthy game pacing, lane phase, and game-to-game variety. The first change we're making the gestures is removing the second void grub spawn. The first and now only grub spawns later to allow for players to focus more on the early laning phase. Void grubs rewards have also been retuned for the max grub count of 3 rather than 6. Now that we capped at 1 void mile, which you get after taking down 3 grubs. Rift Herald spawn also moved a bit earlier to 15 minutes, so spawn times are better spaced out before the 20-minute mark. Well, this is a massive nerf to the grubs. Massive, massive nerf. And the game will instantly be very, very centered around dragons. Everything will be around dragons, and it will also make for a much more bot-centric game. And this also will target the lane swaps that actively occur, for example, in the LCK, where the first base you swap into topside do to be on grubs. Because if you have grub 3, basically the first 3 grubs, you secure them. On the next rotation of spawns, even if the enemy gets dragon, that one dragon is not going to give any statistics, and you're not going to give a damn about it. But if you have the grubs and you have the next rotation, basically, let's say 10-30 second grub spawn, then you're in a situation where basically you're almost threatening soul in a way where the enemy needs to contest the grubs, and you as a team have options. You have options to, of course, play towards the Drake and skip a fight, or you can force a fight and get 6 grubs, and the enemy, in most cases, unless your champions are very, very bad towards that, you need to tune against it. So this is going to be a massive change. It's going to be giga bot lane centric, super bot focused, push bot, pressure bot, Drake secure, pressure bot, because the void grubs are going to spawn later. But the question is when exactly, because maybe the first swap happens and maybe we move in a direction where, 8-minute mark is going to be swapped, like, for example, the other thing, the old Rift Herald swap. While we do want Rift Herald to encourage bringing a teammate, the degree to which it demands multiple teammates to take is higher than it needs to be. So just as in generally make it less complex and sloggy, we remove Shelly's gaze effect. The debuff to reduce damage you dealt to her while increasing her damage dealt. The result should be simpler, faster encounters, especially when solo, but at a high HP cost to keep Herald contestable. Given that Rift Herald now carries a large portion of mid-game objective interest, we've also used the opportunity to do the Qualify Live Pass on her rewards to make them easier and more satisfying to use. Alright. Additional tuning to the anti-lane swap rules. Let's see these. We're also revisiting how we tackle lane swaps with the above changes in mind. Our hope from redesigning lane swap detection and penalties to keep pro play lane swapping at nearly zero while continuing to reduce its impact on regular players. We still want supposed to be able to roam into mid or top lane and pull off a gank, without penalizing their teammates' income. Therefore, we'll be using role binding as an opportunity to tie our anti-lane swap rules to the World Atlas. Same as before, these rules only take effect on teams where the jungle and detection is looking for support plus another champion in non-bot lane. Lane swap detection will have active upon seeing a World Atlas in mid or top lane between 1:35 to 15 and 1:35 3 minutes respectively, at which point the penalties will place purely on the support. What are the penalties? Defending players will still receive perfect golden experience from nearby minions, and the defending turret will still take reduced damage and deal bonus damage in these contexts. But instead of reducing all players' minion golden XP by 25%, the support will no longer be able to cash in their World Atlas stacks and won't receive any golden experience from lane minions. I think this is a lot more elegant of a change. A lot more elegant of a change, because at least the person doesn't get penalties and you are not in a situation where you can use this as a massive griefing tool. The action still requires 2 non-junglers in the lane, so Zyra holding the mid wave won't be penalized, but once Lissandra returns from her bathroom break, the support will have to leave. Alright. Let's see, death screen. So you died. Whoa, I zoomed in too far. I just wanted to see the image. Back at 26. Oh, that's kind of nice. That's cool. I like that. That's sweet. It would be cool if we had like a live replay as well that you could just check, like, how did I die? You know? That's maybe not the best for this type of a game where it's information based. So no voice comms yet. No voice comms, sadly. But I think that the changes, as long as they happen early enough in spring, I don't mind. And I do think that the game must move on, and this is a fresh look. I'm excited for the more vibrant and colorful things, and I think that in terms of the cinematic, I thought the cinematic was beautiful. The song was beautiful too, and I'm curious to see what they do next. I am not that peeved about like no more Ionian, like less like the Ionian champ thing, because like the Spirit Blossom skin line. If we just take a look at the Spirit Blossom skin line, let's take a look. Spirit Blossom universe. Let's see what champions are here. Maybe we don't use Phantom. So you have Kindred, you have Set, Alun, which is Aphelios, you have Cassiopeia, you have Darius, you have Lilia, you have Master Yi. Some of them are Ionian, right? Some of them are not. So I'm fine, right? It's okay. Like a lot of these champions are not fucking Ionian. And I don't understand why people were complaining about it. Because they didn't complain about it before, and now it's just cool to hate on Riot. So just wanted to slot that in there. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace and love and understanding. Bye-bye.